In a rare meeting, US Secretary of State Antony Blinken and China's Foreign Minister Qin Gang talked for nearly 6 hours in Beijing.
Kharkiv and Kherson targeted by Russian shelling, killing at least 6 people.
US Secretary of State Antony Blinken and China's Foreign Minister Qin Gang met for nearly 6 hours on Sunday in Beijing. Afterwards, both men described it as candid and constructive, but don't appear to have agreed on anything other than that they should meet again, this time in Washington, D.C. Gang told Blinken that China regards Taiwan as the core issue in Sino-US relations. And Blinken told Gang that both of their countries must keep open channels of communication to reduce the risk of misperception and miscalculation. Relations have deteriorated so badly that some analysts talk of the possibility of a conflict over Taiwan. Last year, President Biden said the US would defend Taiwan militarily if China ever invaded.
More Russian missile strikes have hit the Ukrainian regions of Kherson and Kharkiv. Kharkiv's governor Oleksiy Hubnov announced on Telegram that 4 people were killed on Saturday when a Russian anti-tank missile hit a car. But Ukrainian forces say they destroyed a significant ammunition depot near the Russian-occupied port city of Hednichesk. In the southern region of Kherson, 2 people were killed and 25 others were wounded by Russian shelling, according to Governor Alexander Prokudin on Saturday. The city of Kherson was also hit by 44 Russian shells. Meanwhile, Kyiv says the death toll following the destruction of the Kakhovka Dam has risen to 16 in Ukrainian-held territory, while Russian-appointed officials say 29 people died in territories controlled by Moscow. As floodwaters recede, Ukrainian authorities are inspecting the Dnipro River area, which they say Russia has mined extensively.
242 migrants, some of them who may be refugees, have been rescued by the Coast Guard off the small island of Lampedusa. They were discovered crammed into just 5 small boats. Local media said one boat had set out from Libya with 52 men and 3 women on board from India, Eritrea, Syria, Egypt and Pakistan. Another boat, which was just 7 meters long, carried 41 men and 1 woman who were from Congo, Burkina Faso and Guinea. They'd set out from the port of Sfax in Tunisia, as had a 3rd boat which carried 20 Tunisians. The EU's Executive Commission says member states are close to agreeing a plan that would see migrants looked after by almost all of the 27 states, rather than just the southern ones along the Mediterranean. Meanwhile, those states, including Greece, Spain and Italy, have extended their fences and border walls and intensified maritime patrols to try to stop the crossings.
Some 200 people in the Greek port city of Piraeus marched to the offices of Frontex and the Hellenic Guard on Sunday, protesting their handling of last week's deadly shipwreck off the coast of Pylos. There are mounting questions as to whether the Greek Coast Guard should have intervened earlier to help get the migrants on board to safety. Up to 750 men, women and children from Syria, Egypt, the Palestinian territories and Pakistan were on board the vessel trying to reach Europe when it sank. A church service was held on Sunday at the nearby port of Kalamata in memory of the victims. More than 500 people are presumed to have drowned, although only 78 bodies have been recovered. To date, 104 survivors were rescued. The Greek Coast Guard and government officials say their patrol boats and nearby cargo ships had been shadowing the fishing boat after it was spotted by a surveillance plane from Europe's Frontex border agency. They say they offered assistance, but it was rejected by someone on board the overcrowded trawler.
2 days after leaving hospital, Pope Francis greeted the faithful from his balcony in St. Peter's Square with evident relief. The 86-year-old pontiff sounded a bit breathless and hoarse at times, but as usual led prayers on Sunday. Francis asked people to pray for those who died in Greece's tragic shipwreck on Wednesday. Hundreds of migrants from Libya, some of them most likely refugees, may have perished when their overcrowded fishing boat sank.
It's the latest example in Europe of a coalition including the far right. Finland's new government includes Conservatives and an anti-immigration party, which came second in parliamentary elections. Not only the far right, but also radical left-wing parties are increasingly making their presence felt in the political debate. In a continent fractured by political cleavages, be it pro or anti-European, pro or anti-immigration, conservative versus progressive, the centre is facing increasing competition.
Le centrisme, c'est la recherche d'un consensus. Et à partir du moment où il y a clivage, et les clivages se développent effectivement beaucoup plus par le biais des réseaux sociaux, à partir du moment où il y a des clivages très forts, très durs dans la société, vous avez un affaiblissement du centrisme.
As social networks all but replace intermediary bodies, the Yellow Vests episode in France showed how people are turning from traditional parties to more spontaneous forms of organisation.
Ce n'est pas seulement qu'un phénomène politique, la montée des extrémismes. C'est aussi des phénomènes sociaux. Avant, vous aviez des partis politiques, des syndicats, des structures qui encadraient, en quelque sorte, qui avaient, si vous voulez, pour fonction l'encadrement. Maintenant, ces partis politiques dits classiques se sont effondrés.
But if the traditional parties themselves are in trouble, their ideas are often taken up by populist parties. Take Marine Le Pen's U-turn on Europe, for example, or Giorgia Meloni's shift over NATO and Russia.
On peut avoir des discours protestataires, on peut avoir des formes de populisme, mais lorsqu'on arrive aux affaires, et si on veut y rester, on se met à cultiver ce que l'on aurait appelé dans le temps un discours centriste. Les partis centristes ont perdu leur fonction dans le contexte actuel, puisque leurs idées ont été adoptées.
It remains to be seen whether the European Parliament, a bastion of centrism, will withstand the onslaught in the 2024 elections.
Today, let me reiterate our commitment.
Bullying is nothing new, but now with the rise of social media and smartphones, what used to stop at the school gates now follows many children home. Irish teenager Nicole Fox was one such victim before she eventually committed suicide in 2018 at the age of 21. Since then, her mother, Jackie Fox, has been campaigning to make cyberbullying a criminal offence. Named after her late daughter, Coco's law was adopted in 2021 in Ireland. After speaking with some European lawmakers, Jackie Fox says she is optimistic it can be implemented further afield.
My main thing was to have the legislation to protect victims like what Nicole went through and families so they don't have to go through what I'm going through today without my child. I have Coco's legacy over in Ireland, but to bring it to Europe-wide and think of how many lives that can save.
Similar laws already exist in other parts of Europe, legally forcing social media platforms to react when cyberbullying occurs. It's the case in France.
La modération sur Internet, elle n'est pas, la règle n'est pas de la faire a priori, puisque la règle d'Internet, à l'inverse, c'est justement que tout le monde puisse finalement poster absolument ce qu'il veut tout le temps, sans filtre, sans barrière, et qu'ensuite, ça soit soit les réseaux, soit effectivement les autres internautes qui signalent le fait qu'il y a des contenus problématiques qui circulent.
Many are calling on social media platforms to program their algorithms to be proactive rather than reacting after the damage is already done.
On sait bien qu'ils interviennent a priori, puisque le principe même de l'algorithme, qui est leur façon de nous adresser des contenus différents selon qui vous êtes, votre consommation, ce que vous aimez, etc. Donc on voit bien que finalement, de simples tuyaux, comme ils disent qu'ils sont, dans lesquels passerait de façon opaque plein de contenus sur lesquels ils ne pourraient rien savoir tant qu'on ne les a pas alertés, est très déjà discutable.
The Esperanza Star was carrying 120 people when it caught fire on Sunday, 65 of them passengers and 55 crew members. The ferry was near to its destination, the port of Tig-Bilaran in Bohol province, when the fire broke out at dawn. It raged for 5 hours before the Coast Guard's water cannon put it out. It's not yet known what started the blaze, however accidents at sea are common in the Philippines. That's mainly due to the frequent storms, boats being poorly maintained and lack safety procedures. The Annecy Animation Film Festival is now the largest of its kind in the world. And this year, its top Crystal Door prize was awarded unanimously to Linda Wants Chicken, the simple story of a mother who has trouble keeping her promise to cook her daughter a chicken with peppers on a strike day in France.
C'était très incroyable d'être ici, de présenter le film. Il y a beaucoup de pression parce que présenter un film d'animation devant des gens qui font eux-mêmes des films, c'est quelque chose de... Voilà, on sait qu'on va être jugé sur tous les aspects.
Oui, ils ont vu grandir ce film ainsi. Dès l'écriture, chaque étape de fabrication, on était là. Alors c'est une conclusion stupéfiante, mais voilà, c'est presque dans l'ordre des choses.
Funny, tender and cheeky all at once, Linda Wants Chicken was a clear favourite with many festival goers.
C'est du poulet que je voudrais, avec des poivrons.
Du poulet au poivron?
Il pollo con il pepperoni.
Poulet papa.
Ah, c'est pas vrai, j'avais oublié.
The jury prize went to Hungary's Aaron Gauda for his powerful and deeply political film Four Souls of Coyote, about Native Americans deprived of their land.
I really think that it's Disney and Pixar and Marvel who pushes this family thing, and that's why people's first thought is that it's for family and kids, but there's a lot of serious animation, and I think people should see more of them.
Get your men ready. We need to start tomorrow morning.
Le festival du film d'animation d'Annecy est devenu, au fil des ans, un rendez-vous mondial incontournable pour les films d'animation. D'un côté, la créativité, de l'autre, le business. Ce sont les deux pôles du cinéma réunis dans un même festival. À Annecy, Frédéric Ponsard pour Euronews.